Hello, how are you? Welcome back to another video and another low budget crockpot meal idea video. Today I have a dinner or a lunch, you could use it for either or, and a breakfast, which I'm really excited because I've never done breakfast in the crockpot before. I'm not a huge crockpot user, but I do like using them so I can put stuff in mid-afternoon or mornings, especially on the weekends, and then I'm done for the day. And then I just have one thing to clean up really quickly after dinner, besides like plates and forks and all that. But both of these recipes today are Pinterest inspired. And the first one, I already know turned out really well. The second one is in the crock pot right now. So let's rewind, go back to the first recipe that I did, and then we'll come back to this one because it's actually breakfast. And we're doing breakfast for dinner tonight. So let me know in the comments below, what do you guys do for breakfast for dinner if you make that? Share all of your ideas.
Hello, beautiful friends. I am so excited. So recipe number one is an Egyptian lentils and rice. It's already gluten-free and vegan. And I just adjusted the seasonings a little bit to what I had on hand. But like I said, this original recipe will be linked down below. You can check that out. You can also check out my blog post where I kind of made adjustments. As we already know, rice is extremely cheap. Whether you use white or brown, it's a great starch to really bulk up your meals. Lentils have a great protein, and you could definitely add more veggies to this dish, but I was trying to make them super inexpensive per serving. And when I talk about 50 cents per meal, that's per serving, because if I'm eating a meal, my husband's eating a meal, it can go both ways. And I try to always just remind you of that because obviously the entire pot doesn't cost 50 cents. That would be incredible if I could do that. But basically you would get a little bit of veggies and some broth. So I don't include the cost of my seasonings. I like to always remind you of that because it's not something I budget for every single month, not even every single week. I kind of budget for those as we need them. But if you want kind of an insight on how I break down our meals every single week, here you have it. I try to do about $1.50 per serving, and then sometimes I like to get really creative and go for even less. Right now, I am really working through a lot of items that are in our kitchen, and I'm thinking about doing a pantry use it up video. So let me know down below in the comments if you'd like to see that. Like I said, I adjusted the seasonings, and I will put down in the comments below what I use, but cinnamon and lentils with a little bit of spice, so delicious. I like to add cinnamon to my chili as well. I know a lot of you add cocoa. I am hit or miss with cocoa. Sometimes it gives me migraines, so I don't add it, but you could definitely do that. I feel like with this, it would add a lot of flavor as well and depth. This recipe did say on Pinterest that it would take about 4 hours on high, I believe. Well, mine was done a lot faster than that. It was actually done in 3 hours. So I would definitely recommend keeping an eye on those things. And I always have my veggie broth recipe typed out in the description box below. If you want to make some homemade veggie broth, you can save all of your scraps that you have on hand. I like to put them in my freezer. Please pause while we take a photo for the Instagram. Anyways, I like to save all my veggie scraps, put them in my freezer, and then make my own veggie broth. On this day, I only had about 2 cups left, and I didn't want to make any veggie broth, so I did go ahead and substitute for about 4 cups of water, but it would definitely add a ton more flavor if you went ahead and did 6 cups of water. So once you add your rice, your lentils, your veggies, and your seasonings, go ahead, add the broth, the water, give it a good mix, put your lid on, and like I said, the crock pot slow cooker, I feel like it kind of varies with which brand and which one you have overall, but Pinterest did say 4 hours on high. Mine was done in about 3 hours on high.
So what I like to do is I actually like to share my prices with you all. Obviously prices are different all over the world, but it kind of gives you a breakdown so you can kind of see my idea when I am personally meal planning for me and my husband. So on the next slide, you're gonna see the prices and the recipe that I adjusted from Pinterest, but the original Pinterest recipe is linked down below along with my recipe for my blog post. So let's jump into the prices for recipe number 1.
These prices are super straightforward. I'm just including the prices for the main ingredients. Like I said, I don't include the seasoning or the broth, but my lentils cost me 80 cents, my rice 60 cents, my green peppers were $1, and my onion 50 cents, for a total of $2.90 for this huge crock of food. For 5 servings, it would be 58 cents per serving. At 6 servings, it's 48 cents per serving, which is a really hefty serving. What you saw in that bowl was a 6 serving portion. Let's move on to the next recipe. Since I am plant-based, I go ahead and swap eggs for flaxseed, and I make a ground flax egg. So I take whole flaxseed, about 20 cents worth. Yes, I go through all my ingredients and figure out the cost every single time I make one of these videos. It's kind of fun for me. And again, it's kind of how I meal plan. So I like doing it. And I like sharing this all with all of you. So, and right now, if you want to start baking, flaxseed is way cheaper than eggs, I must say. You will get a more dense cake or bread, but it still works out great. So you add equal parts of ground flax to water, and I can link my little grinder, blender, food processor down below if you want to check that out. I got it on Amazon, super inexpensive, and it's cordless, so you can take it anywhere you want in your kitchen. I also don't cook with oil, so I substitute for applesauce, which again is another cheaper substitute, but you can do whatever you would like. I just like the texture better, and it's a nice sweet element. So because it does have applesauce in it, you could definitely omit the sugar altogether, but I went ahead and added it because I knew my husband would like it. He has a sweet tooth, I have a sweet tooth, and maybe this isn't the best breakfast for dinner, but we did have some tofu on the side, so it worked out really great. Go ahead and add all your wet ingredients to a bowl, add a little bit of salt to kind of balance out the sweetness, mix it up, and then add your flour. I will say I did make this with gluten-free flour the next day. Turned out just as beautiful. I just use a swap for a 1-for-1 gluten-free flour, usually the Red Mills brand, and it's perfect. This bread made my house smell like what you think fall should smell like. I should have added some pumpkin spice seasoning to this bread, but I didn't have any on hand when I was making it, and I didn't grab any at the store because I completely forgot. So I just used cinnamon, and it was perfection. But the smell of this bread alone is worth making it just so your house smells insanely delicious for 4 hours. This bread does have to bake a little bit longer than the Pinterest recipe said, and I'm guessing it's because of the flax egg that I used, because typically that's how it is with my normal breads and cakes. It just doesn't develop as quickly as a regular egg. So I cooked this for 30 minutes longer than the recipe said to on Pinterest. So Pinterest said 4 hours on low. I went for 4.5, and it was gooey and moist and amazing. I also added a glaze over the top by just taking a little bit of oat milk and a little bit of powdered sugar and making a glaze. Again, maybe that's not breakfast worthy for many, but I feel like a good day is when you come home to a pumpkin loaf and that is what you call dinner for breakfast. It was amazing. I mean, we have muffins for breakfast. Why can't we have pumpkin bread for dinner, or even breakfast, or even a snack, or even lunch? I don't care when you eat this, but you definitely need to make it. So the recipe did say to line your crock pot with either parchment paper or use a bread tin inside your crock pot. Now, I didn't have a bread tin that would fit, so I went the parchment route, and I thought that would be the best because if you have a smaller crock pot, you could definitely still make this recipe, and then it's no mess. We're hands-free at this point when it comes to mess. So go ahead and put all of your mix in there, and then you're gonna put a paper towel on the top before you place your lid in. And the reason for that is because it's going to absorb all of the moisture. You could definitely do a tea towel as well. The recipes that I was looking at did say that the paper towel does work better than a tea towel, but you could definitely use a tea towel because it would help absorb that as well. Then you're gonna put your lid on, and then again, it said 4 hours on high. Mine was good at 4.5. And then when you take it out, you're gonna be so happy. I didn't peek at it, and when I did, I was so excited because really, I've never made bread in the crock pot before. And now it makes me want to venture into a bunch of different recipes because it's kind of nice just to set it up and forget about it and not think about it, because when you make bread in the oven, you have to constantly, it's quicker. So you have to feel like you have to be in your kitchen and constantly be there and babysit, if that makes sense, because you're done in like 35 to 45 minutes. So here's this little simple glaze that I put on top. You can totally omit this if you don't want to do it. You could just sprinkle some cinnamon, nutmeg, pumpkin spice seasoning to the top. But look how beautiful this is. And then of course I had to dig into it. Now this day, because it wasn't gluten-free, I just had a tiny little piece to try it. My husband loved it so much that we've made this loaf 4 times, 3 more times with regular flour and once more with gluten-free. It's really, really good. I hope you try it. And of course you can see my adjustments down below at my blog post. Make sure you head over there and like a couple posts for me. That would help me out so much. Give this video a huge thumbs up as well. And let me know in the comments below, what is the price point you want to see in my next budget video? I have a couple of them in mind. So let me know what price point would be helpful for you, and I can get some videos up and running with that price point.
And of course, we have prices for recipe number 2 as well. This recipe is also linked, the original Pinterest one and the adjustments that I made. Because I am plant-based, I do a few little adjustments. Usually, if I were eating this, I would make this with gluten-free flour, but I'm making 2 batches and we'll see how they turn out. I'll make one with gluten-free and leave a pinned comment down below, let you know how it is. And then this one that I just put in the crock pot was regular flour because I assumed that would be what the majority of the people who were watching this would make, and then I could adjust the prices accordingly. So here's prices for the pumpkin loaf.
Again, these prices are super straightforward. My total cost being $2.69. If you're going to do 5 servings, it'd be 54 cents per serving. 6 servings, 45 cents per serving. If I haven't told you already, you need to make this. It's a must make.
Thank you so much, as always, for stopping in and watching today's video. Give it a huge thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next week in more recipes. Don't forget to check out my blog down below with today's recipes and a few more sprinkled in. I'll continue to build the content over there as the weeks progress. Have an awesome day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.